I'm sitting here in Sedona with the Leadership Secrets of Nick Saban book, one that has completely changed how I operate. And in this video, I'm really just going to break down the main lessons that I got from this book and exactly how you can translate that into your life. I'm going to take this off because it's bothering me a bit. The first thing I want to go over is really what the process is, because if you've ever seen Nick Saban or watched anything of his, he really covers the process heavily, and that's basically one of the main things that he orchestrates his organization on, which is being process oriented rather than obsessing over results. And I'm going to go very, very in depth on that in this video. But in the process chapter, it says, for Saban, the process really came down to discipline. His system was predicated on everyone in the organization having the discipline to avoid the things they know they shouldn't do and do what they knew they should, even if they didn't want to. This is really, really important, and it stuck with me a lot because typically you're going to hear the definition of discipline as doing the right thing at the right time every single time, the way it's supposed to get done. But how Nick Saban defines discipline is really unique, and it stuck with me a lot. And it's more about two different sides. Okay, on this side you have something that you know you should do, but you don't want to do it. And can you make yourself do it? And then on this side you have something that you know you want to do, but you shouldn't. Can you keep yourself from it? And I think that he really lays that out in a very digestible way. And once you understand that, discipline becomes really easy because you start picking up on the patterns that these types of decisions have, because every single day we're making hundreds of these micro decisions. And he also covers something that goes in on this, and it's that, do you want to live with the pain of discipline or the pain of disappointment? And he explains, I've watched tons of videos on Saban and his methodologies, but something that he explains and goes over is the two different types of pain, right? So you have the pain of disappointment from not being disciplined, and you will always underperform and be disappointed because of it, compared to the pain of discipline because it's hard to make those types of decisions all the time. And the hardest thing about this is that you can make a million of the right disciplined decisions, but all it takes is one wrong decision to really mess your whole self up. The second thing I wanted to cover is the fact that you cannot let the outside factors impact your goals. It's a really big thing, and one of the main points that I got from Saban was focus on what you can control. And it's one of the most simple phrases, but honestly, it's very hard to follow because there's so many things that happen outside of your control that directly impact you, and it can be very frustrating. A lot of things can go wrong, and it's easy to lose that grip of your control and let the external factors affect how you operate. But he explains it really well. He says the best teams deep down are resilient. No matter what is thrown at them, no matter how deep the hole, they find a way to bounce back and overcome adversity. That's what eliminating clutter and not letting outside factors impact the greater goal is all about. The best leaders have the emotional resilience to persevere through challenging situations and not get sidetracked on the journey to success. I'm sure you've seen sports teams, whether that's baseball, football, whatever it may be, they seem to be in some insurmountable position and they come back. So if you're keeping up with the college football playoff currently, Alabama's most recent game, they played in Oklahoma, and they were down 17-0 in the second quarter. And I remember watching that game, and people around me were saying, man, they're done, they're toast, they're getting their ass kicked. But for some reason, I watched that and I was like, you know what? They're going to come back. And sure enough, they did. The tide rolled, and they ended up winning that game. The point being is that they climbed out of this seemingly insurmountable position, and they came back and fully took control because they didn't let the external factors affect them. And they had the mentality that every single play had a history and life of its own, which is very big in Nick Saban's methodology. But they basically did not look at the past. They really focused on what was happening now and how they could improve and get better, even when they were in a very bad position. Now, the third section I want to go over is to never waste a failing. Do not waste a failing. I have had personal experiences and business experiences, which I will go over in a second, that really perfectly embody this methodology. But there's a section in this chapter that makes it digestible and understandable for everyone. So it says, of Saban's 7 national championship winning teams, only 2 made it through the season undefeated. 5 teams that ended the season crowned as the best in the country suffered a loss at some juncture in the season, rebounded from it, and emerged as champions. 5 different times, a champion team had to not only get past a loss, but find the value. It goes on to say, loss is inevitable both professionally and personally, but it is up to each individual to choose how to respond to it. One of Saban's favorite sayings, one he uses whenever an obstacle pops up, is, "So what, now what?" It made it less about what just happened and more about what we are going to do about it. For Saban, "Now what" offered a timely opportunity to grab his organization's attention to reestablish the necessary commitment for future success. So what, now what? I think it's a very powerful and simple phrase that you can always say to yourself when something goes wrong or something goes good. For example, I moved down to Florida earlier this year and I left home. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where I was. I had just transferred colleges with the plan of going to a community college and then transferring to a better college. Obviously, that didn't work out. But I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. I was there for the summer, and I decided to move in with two of my buddies that I'd met through working at a company doing their marketing. And so we decided to move to Florida. And I left Memphis with $500 in my bank account, really no plan, and just pure drive. And I left Florida with over $800 in credit card debt. I was broken. I was lost. I cried leaving the morning I left. I cried just because I was completely broken. I had such high expectations and these dreams, and none of them panned out. And while I was there, I also faced very big ups and downs. Right, I signed my first client ever for my agency back when I first started it, and I didn't get any results for him, and he churned while I was there. I literally got him 2 leads in a month and a half, and he told me he didn't want to work together anymore, and it honestly crushed me a bit. And I didn't have the mentality that I have now, but because I lost is why I now succeed. Because of that loss, I learned and I got better from it, and now I have such a great outlook on certain things in my life. And because of this experience, because of having so many hopes and dreams and literally having those crushed and moving back home with my parents, with my family, it was soul crushing. But the fact that that loss happened is simply why I'm here today. And that's really why I'm recording this video, is because I went through so much to get to where I am now, seeing these inklings of success and being able to preach and convey value to you like I am now. So the main thing I want you to take away from that is, like the book says, loss is inevitable. You are going to go through hard shit in order to accomplish things of significance. But once you understand that and you are prepared for the fact that external factors are going to frustrate you, there are certain things that are going to suck. Credit card debt is not fun. Being in a position where I have to move back home instead of staying in Florida and making money online like I wanted to do was hard. But the fact that that happened is why I am here now. And I'm sure that you have gone through things, or you will go through things in your experience trying to make money online and trying to build something of importance for yourself. You have to understand that those things are going to happen, and you just have to have the right mentality of really pushing through those hardships. So what? Now what? The fourth section I want to go over is you have to evaluate yourself constantly and evolve when necessary. So for some context, Nick Saban had already won 3 national championships at Alabama, and he noticed that the game of college football was changing. And after he won the 3rd national championship, what he could have done is just stuck with what worked. He could have stayed running the ball a lot instead of switching to a spread, hurry-up offense. He could have stayed the same and stagnated because, well, it's working right now. But he noticed something about the game of football, and he changed with it. And here's what it says in the book. Saban built a whole second run of Alabama's success, which was 3 more national championships on top of the 3 that he had just won, because not only did he recognize the game was changing, but he was willing to change with it. It went against what he philosophically believed in, but he was never so egotistical to put his preferences over helping the team. This is really important because a lot of the time, once you see success, you kind of default to the mentality of, oh, if it worked now, it'll keep on working. But you always have to be able to adapt and evolve. For example, I'm sure every single person in the world, including you, has seen the wave of AI and how revolutionary it is, and really how much money is pouring into it and the opportunity that it presents. I think the people that look at it and get scared and feel fear are going to basically fall on their face and completely get fucking run over simply because they're not using it. Like for me, I had Claude, I prompted it well, but I had Claude help me plan out this video. Now, I didn't script it, right? This is basically off the dome, and I'm reading certain excerpts from this book and then giving you value from it and giving you translations. But it always helps to have a concise plan. And instead of sitting there for hours trying to think of it, I did it in 45 minutes, and now we're recording, right? So basically this example is really just giving you a good understanding of how to evolve and adapt. And basically once you see success, it's not just stay stagnant. No. You always have to evaluate yourself and always try to see exactly how you can get better and improve. And even when something as surefire as AI comes around, there are going to be people that doubt it and fear it. Therefore, they're not going to go after it. And I think that as someone who found success doing something else, but saw that AI was the wave and that it was just so great of an opportunity, I really couldn't resist it. And using AI to run all of my backend systems to where I can be more efficient, I can grow more, I can sign more clients, and I can really build a bigger organization than just me. Now, section 5 is complacency kills future success. We all know that feeling when you find some type of success, and even when you know you still need to move forward, your brain defaults and you just think, well, I'm good. I just had this win. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna do something. And it's fine to celebrate success, but I do think that it's very important to keep on trying to improve and get better. And one of the biggest questions that most people don't ask and that I want to cover right here is not how hard it is to reach the top, but how are you going to stay there? How are you going to maintain the success that you get? How are you going to continue to be the best that you can be? It's such a crucial question. And I think that if you look at Alabama football's success, specifically in the Saban era, you're going to see a perfect example of it, right? I mean, he evolved when necessary after winning 3 national championships, something that the majority of college football coaches never even could dream of, right? And I think that that's such an important thing to look at. And one of his rules that he had for his team was the 24-hour rule. And it says, if you're a competitor in 24 hours, you probably need to move on because there's another challenge. And basically, you created a target for yourself in the future in terms of people who want to beat you. This is so important because a lot of the times you see people that find success and then really fall off a cliff simply because they get obsessed with what happened in the past. They get so focused on what they've done previously, and they're not always trying to improve. And it's such a fatal flaw that so many business owners make. And I'm sure that you've probably done the same. When you get momentum, you have to go take it. And having this 24-hour rule or something to where, yes, celebrate the win, enjoy what you've done, but never get complacent. Never feel like you can't get better or you can't replicate that success. Stop looking in the past. Always focus on what's happening now and what you can do to improve and replicate that success and expand it even further. Another quote from Saban is he always preached to his organization that complacency breeds a blatant disregard for doing what's right. When you have people, and specifically yourself, getting complacent and being comfortable with where you're at, even when you're seeing success, you completely, and I mean completely, fall off a cliff. And it's simply because you disregard doing what's right. Just as Saban says, you disregard the things that got you there. Because one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from Saban and really obsessing over his methodology is that success is not a continuum. It is momentary. Just because you were successful doesn't mean you're going to continue to be successful. You always have to try to improve and get better no matter the circumstances. And to be clear, there is a downside to this mentality. And it's that a lot of the times you won't enjoy the success as much as you would if you did get complacent. But I think that that's the beauty of having this methodology and really adopting this mindset is that, sure, you may not enjoy the fruits of your labor or smell the roses, but you're going to continue to see success while others wouldn't, simply because you understand that there is always more work to get done. There's always something else to look forward to and accomplish. And you can always do more because the fact of the matter is that the process never ends. I want to give you another example. This page really captures this complacency section of this video. And here's what I mean. It reads, how do I keep it going once I reach the top? It's why Saban harps so much on focusing on the process rather than simply the results. If you are results obsessed, it can be hard to move on once you achieve them. Saban has experienced that firsthand. Saban won his first national championship in 2003 at LSU, a result that put him in rarefied air in college football history. He delivered on promises he made when he took the job and finally helped LSU capitalize on its long untapped potential. But after the game, LSU trustee Charlie Weems remembers walking back to the head coach's locker room to congratulate and celebrate with his friend. In a mostly empty locker room, Weems found a slack-jawed Saban sitting on a chair by himself. He asked him what was wrong. Saban looked at him and said, "What am I going to do now?" Nick Saban, after winning his first national championship, accomplishing what every college football head coach dreams of and what he dreamed of, moments after doing so, he was worried about what he was going to do next. Now, Saban is a very extreme and extraordinary example of what it means to not get complacent and always focus on what's ahead. But I think that just that excerpt right there perfectly embodies what I'm trying to talk about here, and really the lesson I'm trying to convey to you. Even after reaching the pinnacle of college football, being the best that you can be, accomplishing the greatest there is, Saban still was thirsty for more. And I think that, of course, there are downsides, there are caveats to this. It's hard to live in the moment. It's hard to appreciate what you have. It's hard to be where your feet are, but it is a surefire way of achieving continuous success rather than having one-off victories. Again, the book really embodies that well. It says, the level of satisfaction, it never, ever hits you. Even when we won the national championship, we didn't even celebrate it. We were happy and it was amazing, but we just felt like we did what we were supposed to do. It was almost as if we checked that box, what's next? That's something in some ways that's been detrimental, because that constant thirst for something more can force you to not appreciate the moment. There's always something you're striving for, and sometimes you can't sit back and enjoy where you're at in life because there has to be some level of constant improvement. Now, lastly, something that I want to leave you with that is really, really important is that you can watch all the videos you want about how to get better, how to adopt certain methodologies, and how to be a certain way. But the main thing you need to understand is that you do not need to exactly emulate what you're hearing here. You don't need to be Nick Saban. No one is going to be Nick Saban. There will not be another Saban. What you need to do is take these lessons, take these principles, and apply it to what works best for you. Create a process that works for your personality and how you operate. Create something that can stick with you and that you can actually use and implement rather than trying to be someone else. And I think that that's the biggest thing that you can work on. Don't be Saban. Don't be me. Be yourself. Create something that is you, and I promise you're going to get very far. So that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Again, my name is Lyndon Thomas. If you want to learn more, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Talk soon.